As John said, I'm Courtney Kennedy with Omaha Public Power District. I'm the manager of Alternative Energy Program. And so today, I think when John asked us to talk about economic development and renewables, we decided between the three panelists, maybe we'd try to split this up so we have a little bit different angle on it. So really, I'm going to try and focus on kind of the why and the what of why economic development and why it works so well with renewable technologies. And then I think, unless they changed on me, Nicole's going to talk a little bit more about the how, some of the tools, and then Josh will bring it home with some of the impacts. So that's kind of the plan. We'll see if that happens. So first of all, why does it matter? And I'm standing in a room full of people that probably get why economic development is important for the state. But I think sometimes we say, why is it so important for public power, for the utilities in the state? And I think the first thing is public power in the state of Nebraska is unique in the fact that we are local and it's important. We're part of the community, we're invested in it. So much so that for OPPD, economic development is actually one of our strategic directives, something that the board has said is so important that we're going to add it to our strategic directives. So that's a little bit of the background there. All right, so as we look, I think everyone in the room knows the landscape's changing, things are changing. There's a lot going on with not only the renewable technology, the policy around it, but also what the large customers are asking. So I wanted to share just a few of the requests and questions that our large C&I customers, both current and potential new customers, are talking about. And so one of those is there continues to be a strong interest in market-based rates. As John mentioned, Facebook, they were one that kind of helped push that forward, but there continues to be a lot of interest around that. Both current and prospective customers continue to take notice of the low cost of renewables here in the state of Nebraska and in the SPP region, so they're noticing that. We continue to see corporate trends for the large companies and smaller companies trying to solve for renewables at the national level. Some companies are even taking it as far to say they have corporate goals that are trying to be 100% 24 hours of the day, 7 days a week. So they're even pushing that renewable goal beyond maybe what we've seen in the past. Customers also are thinking about resiliency. What does that mean to them? Is it backup? Is it a military application where they have to be online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? So that's really kind of questioning what is resiliency, how do we approach that, how do renewables fit into it? And then ultimately there's beyond just the energy piece, we're looking at solutions that might span across multiple locations of the customers. So, for example, how does the EV fleet fit in and some of the other products and services? So at OPPD, for the last year and a half or so, we've had a team called the Integrated Energy Marketplace Strategic Initiative, and I think Tim Burke has mentioned this, but really this team was getting together to say, what's going on in the industry? And I think there's a million articles you can read. There's things going on in California, in the Southwest and the East Coast, what's going on? But this team was really, let's take it one step further and understand what does this mean for OPPD, what does it mean for the state of Nebraska? What actually applies here? And as a member of this team, I think the most beneficial piece of it was really digging into that, how does it impact us? So just because California does a state legislation, does that mean we're gonna have to do that? What is the local impact? And so out of that, we had a couple of transformation drivers that are really helping us think about how we move forward, and that relates to economic development. So the first one, yes, customers are changing their expectations. I think everyone knows that. You're probably changing your own expectations. But we still see through market research that purchase decisions are still generally made on an economic basis. So even though we want something new and fancy, we're still probably considering the economics in those purchase decisions most often. Projected load is flattening. I think that's consistent not only in the state of Nebraska, but around the country. So without big load additions through economic development, it's looking pretty flat. And the interesting thing is if you drive around Omaha, you might see new developments, you see new businesses coming online, but at the same time, our load's flat. And really, a big cause of that is energy efficiency. So you may not even know it, but every time you buy a refrigerator or a TV, your efficiency is that much better. And so that is actually reducing our load without having to try all that much. Technology costs continue to decline. We've seen that multiple times. And there's really a lot of opportunities for how we expand our products and services. And so these are kind of the drivers that we kind of keep in our back pocket as we consider the different initiatives. At the end of it, we found OPPD is in a position of strength. We've got overall customer satisfaction, high reliability, and if we continue this trajectory for competitive rates, we're going to be in a good position. But we know that's not enough. So the Integrated Energy Marketplace had 7 sub-initiatives, from things around electric vehicle strategy, distributed energy, and one of those was really how do we boost our economic development. So really the question is, what's our role? Where does OPPD fit into that? So OPPD's approach, kind of out of this initiative, is really how do we streamline the process? And so there's been a lot of work done over the years, but how do we get really good at this process? When we have a large customer like a Facebook come in, it causes a lot of work within the company. So how do we get better at the transmission planning, at the resource planning? How do we start to make that faster and more efficient if it's going to ramp up? Continued partnership with the state, at the chambers, and across. These partnerships really help us be competitive when we are trying to attract different economic development. The packaging of products and solutions, so the rates, but what else can we offer that makes us that much more attractive than our competitors? Innovative rates, so 261M, and I won't dive into that much because I think we've talked about that in the past, but market-based rates. And then ultimately, it's really about working with both the community and the customers to understand where's the best fit, what's the right fit, and so that's what we try to approach it with. So what's the impact? And I do need my notes for this. So from the 2017 annual report put out by the Greater Omaha Chamber, which is a region of 6 counties, so some in OPPD's territory, but really their efforts, there were 50 projects last year that resulted in about $2.3 billion in capital investment in the area, and that brought 1,700 new employees. So this work is impactful, and we can see that in the community. For OPPD's team, second year in a row, they've been named one of Site Selection's top utilities in economic development. This is one of 10 across the country receiving this recognition. So that helps us know that I think we're on the right path. And when we look at some of the significant projects and some of the impact those have brought, Novozymes, for example, was 10 added jobs with $15 million of investment. Travelers, 30 jobs with $200 million of investment. Fidelity, 35 jobs with $200 million in investment. And there's other projects like that. So over time, we're adding to the community. Now, John mentioned Facebook, so just a quick update on that. And I think the real value here was not only did we bring a data center to the Omaha area in OPPD's territory, but also it impacted the rural area with a rattlesnake wind project. And so it's kind of neat to see something like this really impact both rural and urban populations. By the numbers, it's a $1 billion plus data center, a $430 million wind farm with $80 million in property and tax payments. And with the job growth, there's hundreds of jobs for data center operations. There's wind jobs, not to mention some of the both permanent and construction jobs that are brought into the state. And so this was really a win, not only for the Omaha area, but for the state of Nebraska. And so kind of what I want to leave you with is economic development is a statewide benefit. And so when OPPD thinks about bringing in someone large or mid-size, it's really how does it impact OPPD's service territory, but really what does it do for the state? And so with that, I will leave it to John.